in U.S. Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
10 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Monday, June 16th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Phone lines have been hot today as we review No Kings, the protest that took place on Saturday. Did it work? Are people starting to question the authoritarian aspects of Donald Trump's presidency? Or are you proud of him as a president? You just shrugged as those boomers gathered on street corners around the city of Denver and the rest of the nation. Want to hear from you? Join the conversation. Phone lines are open, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. Let's go to Joe in Arvada. Good morning, Joe. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Good morning, Jeff, Billy. I drove through one of the protests on Wadsworth and Ralston 58, and I kind of analyzed the crowd because it was real slow going because they made it hard to get through on Wadsworth. You know, they got to try to stop traffic. And I came to a conclusion. I saw two camps. There was indoctrinated fools and useful idiots. It reminded me specifically of Ronald Reagan. And this is for you, Ben. The trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so.
They are very passionate. And as you point out, Joe, they believe they know exactly what's right.
The problem with the liberal today is education has failed to properly educate, and now you just have opinionated fools. If you look at how many there were...
We could say that on both sides, though, Joe, really. I mean, there's a whole list of opinionated fools.
I thought
on
of
both
you
sides.
this weekend,
I'm sure
Billy.
you did.
You know, Terry Moran got fired.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, the moron got fired.
And I thought of you this weekend with Peter Boyle's show. Heard you on there, too.
Well, you know what? I thought of him, too.
Yeah.
When Terry actually, I feel like he proved himself that he was wrong. Anyway,
proved you were wrong.
Terry, he did not.
Yes,
that depends on your perspective.
No,
if you're an indoctrinated idiot, you feel that that's the case.
No, the announcement was clear that Peter was reading, that the media outlet that made the announcement on Friday,
Salem,
said that what they said was wrong.
Just like Fox. Yeah, they buckled under because they're scared to death of losing millions. That's all. Because of indoctrinated fools running the justice system here in Colorado.
Joe,
New
exactly
York,
right.
Bubba.
Joe, you're exactly right. They are afraid of losing millions because,
just
as
like
you
New
know,
York, Bubba.
Just as you know, and I know, and Jeff knows, and the audience knows,
and San Francisco knows
that in defamation law, truth is an absolute defense. If you are
Truth
claiming...
depends on which kangaroo court you're in.
Nope, not at all, Joe. That's not how it works.
That's right.
No, Joe, that's
just
not it at all.
Just ask Stalin about truth.
No, Joe, that's not it at all. Truth is an absolute defense. If you say that the mayor is dealing drugs out of the back of the mayoral limo and out of the garage at the mayoral mansion, they are running a cat house, a brothel, per se, and you make those claims in public over and over again on outlets, and then when charged to prove that, when you face defamation trial, you can walk into that court and you put down all the proof on the table. You show the pictures, you show the drugs, you show all the information you have to show that you are telling the truth. That lawsuit goes away. That's it.
You got the Trotsky truth. If you say a lie enough times, Billy, people will believe it. Just like the fools out on King's Day.
No
King's Day.
No,
yeah.
Joe, again, yeah, that's the idea. Is if they had the truth, just like they did, they would have provided
the
it.
Trotsky truth.
Keep going. Yeah, so but people on both sides.
You got the Trotsky truth. No. I'm going to say Billy's got the Trotsky.
No, and not because guess what? What's the one thing? And now again, this is again we've gotten into the stolen election thing again, as Joe and I often do. What's the one thing that Mike Lindell didn't argue in his trial? That he was telling the truth.
Well, hey, listen, I haven't seen the outcome yet. Go ahead and tell me what's the outcome.
That's not what I asked, Joe. What I said is what's the one thing he didn't argue?
Hopefully there was one intelligent jury trial member. I guess they don't even have to have a full unanimous decision in a civil proceeding, right?
And this is why Joe from Arvada, and I appreciate the call, Joe, because we got to move on to the news right now. This is why it's so much fun, because I asked him over and over again. The one thing that Michael Lindell didn't provide and didn't argue during the trial was that he was telling the truth. And Joe goes into the judge and the other stuff and the not arguing. That
Bill, what do you think is going to happen in that trial?
I believe that Mike Lindell is going to be put on the hook, and he's going to be on the hook for tens of millions of dollars. I'm guessing. The question for me is it above or below $40 million? Is I think what it's going to happen. And the reason why is that the arguments inside of that case, Lindell, and this is incredibly important to everybody, and again, we don't want to do election. We'll go back in a second to Rod from Littleton. We'll get back into the No Kings rally. It's very important for everybody on the election stolen side. And all the people that said we never got our chance in court, that we never were able to present our proof, this is the perfect time. Because in this case, standing is there. That's Mike Lindell. And if Lindell had the proof of what he was saying about the voting machine company and the person involved, he presents the truth right there inside the court, and the entire case goes away immediately. But Mike Lindell and his lawyers made the argument that he didn't know that it was a lie. He made the George Costanza argument that if you believe it hard enough, Jerry, it's true. And that there's an issue there about reckless disregard for the truth. That is the next layer inside that defamation law. And what that means is if you did no due diligence, if you were out there and doing all of this stuff and making all these reports and all of these claims, if you didn't make any effort to verify they were true, that's a reckless disregard for the truth. Mike Lindell is held to a much higher standard than a news outlet like Fox News. That's why Fox News, their fish were over a barrel in a way that Lindell's isn't. Lindell, this is a possibility. But again, if the jury comes back and sides with Lindell, understand, it's not that the jury says Mike Lindell was right about the stolen election. It's that the jury is saying Mike Lindell was too stupid to know he was wrong. Not necessarily the win you're looking for to spike the football, because that's the only way Mike Lindell wins, is that the jury comes back and says Lindell was too dumb to know that what he was doing was wrong. Not the win you want.
Phone lines are open. Join the conversation. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Campos Law text line at 720-819-5115. Now is time for news and comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good morning. Beautiful morning outside. 68 and partly cloudy in Denver. Expecting a high of 91 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, Vance Bolter, the suspect in the killing of Minnesota state lawmaker Melissa Hortman, is in police custody and expected to make a court appearance later today. Bolter is accused of killing state rep Hartman and her husband. He's also accused of attempting to murder Democratic Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, who were both shot multiple times in the weekend attack. Attacks, plural. Bolter was captured Sunday about 50 miles southwest of Minneapolis. NBC News correspondent Rory O'Neill on Last Hour with Jeff and Billy.
But also had a home with a wife, but then also had a room closer to the city that he would rent with friends that since childhood. And those childhood friends said he had recently been working at a funeral home harvesting eyeballs for organ donation. Yeah, a lot going on.
Wow. Boy, no truer words have been spoken. A lot going on. This guy worked everywhere. It's just nuts. DJT is not backing down on ICE raids. 47 announced he's directing his administration to use every resource possible on mass deportation efforts. Dozens of clowns facing charges after weekend No Kings idiocy in Denver. 35 useful idiots arrested and one juvenile cited and released after protests Saturday night. Some buffoons were arrested after trying to push past police in several locations so they could walk onto I-25. That's a good idea. Go ahead and FAFO on that one. Some commies threw rocks and bottles at police and responded with smoke and pepper balls to disperse them. When the sun went down, all the criminal activity went up. Yeah, amazing how that happens. Donald Trump Jr. unveiling a new U.S.-made product this morning called Trump Mobile.
With Trump Mobile, we're going to be introducing an entire package of products that people can come, they can get telemedicine on their phone for one flat monthly fee, roadside assistance in their cars, unlimited texting to 100 countries around the world, and we've partnered with some of the best to really bring something unique to the American people. So,
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is defending his country's military actions against Iran. In an interview with Fox News, Netanyahu said Sunday Israel will do whatever necessary to remove the nuclear threat Iran poses. The escalation of airstrikes and missile attacks has resulted in a growing number of deaths in both countries. One person has died following a shooting near Coors Field. Police reported the shooting in the 2200 block of Blake Street just after midnight on Sunday. No other information has been released. A body found near I-25 in Douglas County is being treated as suspicious. The Douglas County Sheriff's Office said the body was found Sunday, a half-mile north of Larkspur and the exit of Larkspur. Investigation is underway. J.J. Spawn wins the U.S. Open at 1 under. NBA Finals continues tonight in Oklahoma City now. It'll be the best out of 3 from here on out. The Rockies crushed the Braves 10-1. 66 in Parker, 65 in Arvada, 68 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Monday is underway and the new week has kicked off. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
As we start the week, the weather here in Denver and along the Front Range won't change much. We're going to continue to be warm, have sunny skies to start the day, afternoon clouds, then afternoon and evening, scattered showers and thunderstorms. Thunderstorms will be common across the plains and Front Range this afternoon and evening, and again Tuesday afternoon and evening, with Tuesday a little cooler. Temperatures will be warm, but conditions drier as the air dries out. Less thunderstorm activity Wednesday through Friday. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Phone lines are hot about the No Kings rally. We'll continue the conversation there. Rod Littleton. Good morning, Rod. What did you think of the protests that took place on Saturday?
Well, this is what I see is a bunch of adults acting like spoiled children that didn't get their way. Trump won, and they're going to do everything they can do to try to claim that he's whatever they think he is. Even though we saw what happened under Biden. And it's full of useful idiots, because if you see some of the interviews on the street of people out there, you've got people, number one, that don't know why they're protesting. They're just out there. And then you've got others walking around telling those people, don't talk to these certain reporters or these certain people interviewing.
because you just don't have to, and it's going to make us look bad. That was a quote I heard from one of those. There was somebody in a yellow vest. I don't know if it was from Saturday, but it was somebody walked up to this young person and said, "Don't talk to these people. You're going to embarrass us," or something to that effect. It's just idiotic. There was a bunch of people across the country. We saw that with the protests in Trump's first term. A bunch of PO'd people that didn't get their way, and they're upset. Now, equating the protesters in Boulder that are protesting the safe return of hostages from a terrorist organization does not equate to the BS that is going on with these other protests.
My critique though was on the regularity. That was the point. And all I'm saying was the point of contention was these liberals show up every week for their causes, and is this just ridiculous? And all I'm saying
let's look at context.
And
let's look at context.
That's exactly my point. That is exactly my point.
Because
yes, it is.
You're saying
my
that people that are showing up,
that's exactly my point.
Because they're hacked off at Trump and what he's doing to he's upholding the platform promises that he made after Biden screwed everything. And we got people out there saying, you know what, we need these people back. You need to release these people, these victims. It has nothing to do, the regularity doesn't matter. It's the context.
Yes, it does. No, Rod, the issue is, Rod, hang on.
Brother, come on, man.
Brother, hang on, man. The issue that I started with is, and I said openly, the context is different, but the regularity. And that's what I'm saying is that when we look at this and say that this group here shows up every week to protest whatever it is, and they're silly, but this other group that we agree with is doing a good job because we agree with them, that's it. That our filter, we are using our politics to determine our truth. That the regularity of showing up has more to do about the context and whether or not you agree with it or disagree with it as to whether or not it's silly or not. That's it, man. That's it.
But I will side with the group that's protesting for the return of victims. I will not protest I will not support people who are saying, well, you know what, Trump's pissed me off and I'm not. He can't do it. And most of these guys can't even tell you what they're mad about.
No, it's highly emotional, Rod. It's kind of bumper sticker slogans. So
it is. That's all it is.
I mean, I've interviewed both sides. If you go to the March for Life, for instance, and you talk to people and you go, look, Colorado's a pro-abortion state through and through. Do you think you're wrong out here because the voters continually put abortion in the Constitution? Those types of questions. They can actually give you a reasonable answer about when life begins and why it's important to defend life, that type of thing. But when I ask people what Donald Trump has done that makes him a king, the answer I often get is like, everything. Everything has made him. And I'm like, anything in particular? Not off the top. You can't name one thing that makes him a king, or the idea that wasn't he just duly elected like 8 months ago? And
then
go ahead.
The other guy that brought up, that the left is more educated and they know more about civics. BS. They don't teach civics in school anymore. In high school, they don't teach it anywhere, as far as I know. And if you listen to these young college kids who come out with these degrees expecting, because they went to college and they've got a degree in underwater basket weaving, that they should get this high-paying job, and they don't bring anything to the table. There's no skills. They weren't taught to do anything.
No, I mean, Rod, to your point, look at the correlation between getting a college degree and then being in college debt. And they're claiming their intelligence. And you're like, well, if you're so smart, should you have assumed all this debt to begin with? Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah,
all right, Rod,
exactly.
great call.
Yeah, thanks for the call.
Appreciate it. Lots of fun, Rod from Littleton. His phone line will be open, 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971. Bill, who's up next?
Oh, let's see. In this one, let's talk to Jim in Denver.
Jim, Denver. Good morning, Jim. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Jeff and Bill. I would have been out at the protests, and largely because of Donald Trump's foreign policy. I really consider Donald largely responsible for the current war between Israel and Iran. Barack Obama brought together China, Russia, Europe and the United Nations to put inspectors all over Iran's nuclear program. And if they were still there, this war never would have happened, never would have been necessary.
Well, this war started on October 7th. Don't you think, Jim, don't you think that this war started when Hamas invaded Israel, took hostages, killed innocent people, and they were funded by Iran, and that happened under Joe Biden's watch?
There were no nukes involved in this. I'm talking about, they say, Netanyahu says we have to attack them to prevent them from getting nukes.
Correct. In light of the whole policy under Israel prior to October 7th was what was called mowing the lawn. So every once in a while, you'd end up with an attack that would take place in Iran or against one of the leaders of the Iranian regime, but it wasn't an all-out war. What happened on October 7th changed Israel's perspective, which was we cannot live near people that want to eradicate us from the face of the earth. We just can't. It's too risky. Eventually, they end up over our borders, killing innocent people and kidnapping. So we're going all in now against Hamas. We're going all in against Hezbollah. There's been regime change in Syria. They're now going against Iran. So to say Donald Trump is the result of this war, no. It's Iran and their actions funding Hamas on October 7th that have kicked off everything.
Jeff, I agree with you in almost everything you just said. But when you say Israel can't live with people that are going to eradicate them from the face of the earth, the whole point of the JCPOA was to take away Iran's ability to eradicate Israel from the face of the earth. And Donald Trump took that guarantee away from Israel by tearing up the JCPOA. If it were still in force, there'd be no Israel would not be in mortal fear.
You're talking about, did that happen during Trump's first term?
Yes, he tore up the JCPOA.
Right, and then did Biden put it back in?
He wasn't able to.
And then Iran attacks Israel.
Yeah, but I think
they had no nuclear.
Yeah, I think where Jim's
they
going
would have
on
had
this.
no nuclear weapons and no nuclear fear if the JCPOA were still there.
Yeah, I think what Jim's going after is the attacks on the nuclear facilities. Does this look differently if we were in that agreement when we could have been able to check what Iran was doing on the ground? Because within a month of when Donald Trump pulled us out of that agreement, the Iranians announced that they were going back to enriching uranium to be used in nuclear weapons. They issued that statement within 30 days of when Donald Trump pulled us out of the agreement, and the agreement, functionally collapsed afterwards because the sanctions were mostly based on power that the U.S. had. And once we pulled out, the remaining sanctions weren't significant enough to curtail Iran nor be anything meaningful to them. So they decided doesn't matter, and then it was game on. So that's just history. I'm not taking an opinion one way or the other. My question, though, is that the claim that Donald Trump's put us in this situation, I think is far-reaching when October 7th, from my perspective, has put us in this situation. Jim, appreciate the call. Thanks so much. That. Jim from Denver's line will be open 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line. Speaking of Dan, here's the line for Dan Caplis text line. It comes into the studio, by the way, 720-819-5115, 720-819-5115. I've known Dan for well over a decade. Pro-life, pro-family, pro-faith, pro-America. He's right there with us on the values. That matters because who you choose to represent you in an injury case, it's going to say a lot about you to everybody involved in the case. Dan Caplis has spent 40 years getting justice for the people of Colorado. This guy's a real winner in the courtroom. Listen to this. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict
and Colorado state history. Dan Kaplis Law is so trusted, he's the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Kaplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's his phone number, 303-770-5551. 303-770-5551. Why don't you put it in your phone right now so you have it? 303-770-5551 or hit dankaplislaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S law.com. All right, we'll continue with your phone calls and texts. We're talking No King's Day. Jason in Denver, I wonder if Trump identified as a queen, if the liberals would celebrate her diversity.
That's really funny. That's really funny. That's funnier. I shouldn't be laughing that hard. That is very funny. There's a visual in my mind that I wish I could share. I really wish I could share. Thanks for the text message. That's a good one.
All right. Would love to have you join the conversations. Phone lines are open, 303-696-1971. Did No King's Day work? Did it send an important message that maybe Americans need to rethink Donald Trump? And to your point, Bill, maybe Donald Trump was the one they were trying to send the message to.
Yeah, it wasn't an audience of one.
Or did most people just go about their day, see the people on the street corners and in the major cities and go, look, these are just the same progressive lunatics during the BLM riots that burned the cities down. They're creating problems like they are in Los Angeles. And it just reinforces that Donald Trump is right. And you got to give it to those smelly hippies out there. 303-696-1971. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Well, we are beginning the celebrations for America's semi-quincentennial. Get used to that phrase. Semi-quincentennial.
That's just horrible.
Which is the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. First of all, I want to say this. Thank God Donald Trump is the president, not Kamala Harris, when it comes to the next year and celebrating all these activities. Because you just get one big apology, blame operation from the Democrats about how America is, racist, inherently racist, and all the terrible things it's done, and how it's oppressed so many people. And we need to change it. They want to fundamentally transform America, whereas with Donald Trump, you at least get a celebration. Did you watch the Army's celebration on Saturday, Bill?
Yeah, I did. I spent a little bit of time watching some of the stream. What I enjoyed the most was I play a game about where are the cameras, and so I jump from a different stream. Sometimes I'll have multiple feeds open because I want to see where people are placing the cameras, why they are. I'm also looking for shared cameras, so who's sharing what and who the sort. And so I jumped around a lot. I spent some time watching it, and it was okay. Although I think that if you have to do it again, I think that the organizers made some incorrect assumptions about the presentation of the parade that are core for why you do a parade in the first place. I think they forgot the reason behind it, and because of that, for me, it came off like a soda that has been left out for a number of hours. Still okay, but flat. It's kind of what I felt.
But, Bill, if you read the headlines that our friends over at the Huffington Post and MSNBC, it was Donald Trump's as dictator ahead of it, right? They panned this whole thing. Are you aware that we are having military parades on the level of the Soviet Union now? And Donald Trump, this dictator, is showing off his might and power as he oppresses the American people. And then you watch it and you're like, this is just a parade for the Army. I mean, it was a great celebration of the 250th anniversary of the founding. There's a lot of great history. We watched it. Watched the part. CBS Sunday News covered part of the anniversary of the Army as well, and I think this great reminder of where the Army came from. I mean, it was shop clerks and farmers that organized, and then finally, the kind of founding father said we need to officially bring these guys together and put it into an army. And that's how our country was founded. I love the fact that we're taking time as a country to reflect on our history and our heritage of what makes America the greatest country in the history of this world so far. And I think all the hand-wringing that you saw from the left was much ado about nothing. The president gave a fine speech. It was an 8-minute, 9-minute speech. It was no pounding of the fist, dictator type of speech. It was an honoring of our military. Could it have been more entertaining? Sure. Yeah, it could have been more entertaining. But another aspect that I liked about it was I'd like to see it regularly in Washington, D.C., almost like Fleet Week is in New York City. People were talking about how the troops came to D.C. and they were going out to the restaurants and having fun and enjoying our nation's capital. I think it would be great to have that on the regular. Come to D.C., a great week of celebration among the armed forces in Washington, D.C. every summer.
Not if they're going to do it this way. They're not. That's not going to. And we'll get to the phone calls here in a second. Because for me, the visual that I kept coming back to is just like the Victory Day parades I saw through the 70s and 80s. That's what it reminded me as. Only fewer people. But I saw the same kind of crowd, the same kind of presentation. That's what it reminded me of. It looked like Vladimir Putin's Victory Day parades that happen every year. And it for me, it fell flat. It just wasn't there because, and I'm going to talk to the phone line here in a second, and I'll expand on this in a little bit, that it missed the core of the parade. What was the purpose of the parade? The purpose of this parade is to celebrate the 250th birthday of the Army. did that parade seem like a birthday parade?
Yeah, 100%.
No, not at all.
No, that's
No.
all. Oh my gosh,
No,
Bill!
not
The
the least.
whole thing was army oriented.
No, and here's
the
the
left
reason
makes
why.
this all about Donald Trump. Had nothing to do with it.
No.
He gave a 8-minute speech.
I'm not making this about Trump. I'm just asking, did that seem like a birthday parade? And what I mean by that is this seems more like a Victory
More
Day parade.
Cake floats.
What I'm looking at is this.
Candles.
What happens when we celebrate our birthday on July 4th? That's a birthday parade. What's the difference? I'm going to talk to the phones.
I have no idea because they had fireworks at the other one. I don't know. All right, you got to join the conversation. Let us know. 303-696-1971. Did you like the parade? Would you like to see more of them? We've got the Marines coming this fall. We'll have Air Force parades, Navy parades. Look, we're getting ready for the 250th anniversary celebration of the greatest country on the history of the earth. Donald Trump, patriots, MAGA, Republicans are in control of this. It's big, it's bold, it's patriotic, it's celebratory. We are not ashamed of our country. We love this country, adore it. Thank God Republicans are in control of this celebration and not Democrats, because it would be one big guilt trip for the next year. So we've got more parades coming. What would you like to see? Any changes to the parades, maybe? All right, we'd love to hear from you. Phone lines are open, 303-696-1971. Text us at the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. We'll get to Nick in just a second here. Let's talk first advanced hair restoration. Guys, if you're losing your hair and desire to have it back, then Advanced Hair Restoration has the easiest guaranteed solution. Their simple one-day treatment offers life-changing results. I've seen it with my own eyes. Guys, it's not magic, but close to it. They put hair where you need it the most, and bam, it grows. It's actually science. Advanced Hair has it all. Top-rated Dr. Tanya Paul's modern technology. And best of all, you get your own natural hair that begins regrowing the very next day. Advanced Hair even guarantees it will grow for life. So schedule your free consultation now, 720-459-HAIR, 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you'll get $250 off and $250 free hair grafts. Advanced Winner is the winner of Westward's Best of Denver and has changed the lives of tens of thousands of people. So don't wait. Check out the before and afters online for yourself at 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com. 720-459-HAIR, advancedhair.com. All right, let's go to Nick in Denver. Good morning, Nick. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. As far as the parade was concerned, I'm neutral towards it. If you want to have a parade, great. If not, that's all right too. But the really big issue facing this country that we're really going to have to focus in on is our mounting debt. And if you know anything about history, and I'm sure you two do, the one thing that has brought down more countries than anything else was excessive spending and the debt. And we need to get a handle on this debt, which I haven't seen so far. Otherwise, it's going to be some very rocky sailing.
I agree with you on that. What do you think of this big, beautiful bill, Nick? Would you support it at this point?
Well, I think the problem is, I think what Elon Musk was so frustrated about was that he's the head of a big business or businesses. And if he wants to cut something, all he has to do is say, this is what we're going to do, and that's what we're going to do. But when you get into politics, things get very convoluted. Our whole fiscal procedure and how we put bills together needs to be completely changed. And the problem is we're stuck with the system as it is right now, and that's the best they can do with a very slim majority, the Republicans in the House and the Senate. That's the best they could do. Maybe it's not very good, but at least it's a start.
Well,
now it does raise the deficit on that, which is very, very alarming. But I guess this is the best they can do under the circumstances.
Well, Nick,
and hopefully this will be just the first. Go ahead.
Yeah. Do you think this is the best they can do? And if so, should we expect anything better next time around? And what I mean by the best is, right now, the Republican Party controls the White House and both branches of Congress.
But it's a slim one.
But hang on.
Very slim.
I know, I understand that. But if you want to enact change, now is better than if you lose the House or the Senate. now is better than if you lose the White House. The Republican Party has been functionally out of power for 6 years now, because I would go back to the Trump midterms when they lost the control of the White House and both branches of Congress like now. We saw what happened to the Trump agenda and what they wanted to do once they lost control of the House. We saw that. So what I'm asking is, you're saying, well, the best we can do right now. Really? Do you think that it is really the best? Or the other thing I want to put on the table is all of this talk about deficits and deficit spending and being worried about our debt really just a re-election campaign, because those that are getting reelected know by the time this debt bomb explodes, they'll be long gone and somebody else will reap all of the negative implications of it. What do you think? Is this really the best we can do, or is it just good enough for now because it'll get us reelected? What's your opinion?
I don't have a good solid opinion on either side on that question. To me, it just shows how dysfunctional our whole budget process has become, and hopefully they'll be able to do something about it. As far as this the best they could do, I don't have a good answer there. There are a lot of Republicans who are really rhinos. They're Republicans in name only, and this is what you have to deal with. There are very few Democrats or Republicans who really believe in a balanced budget.
Yep.
They like to spend that money.
It's not their
and
money.
They don't What's that?
Nick, I think, it's not their money, as Jeff was saying, and I think you're smart there. Although I wouldn't say that there are a lot of rhinos. I wouldn't say that if they don't believe in the balanced budget of the debt that they're rhinos per se. I think the stronger statement is that they just don't care. They may be Republicans, but just like with Democrats, they don't care about the idea of the debt and the deficit, because Jeff has accurately said for months on this show that if the deficit goes up, if our debt goes up, not deficit spending, but if the deficit spend goes up or our debt goes up by another $2 trillion, how does it change your family budget? And the impact really isn't felt by the average American. So,
well, the minute you want to cut anything,
yes,
you get. I mean, I just got an email from the lady that's running against Lauren Boebert, Carice or whatever her name is. Yeah, Tricia Carice. Boebert's taking food from kids.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like you can't cut anything without the Democrats saying kids are dying in the streets as a result of it.
Doesn't matter what you cut. Doesn't matter.
Nick, I really appreciate the call.
Nick.
Thanks so much. We're talking the parade that took place on Saturday to celebrate the Army. Doug texted in, as a veteran of the Army, I have to say it wasn't too moving or exciting. Maybe I was expecting more, especially when the other side built it up as to be this gross display of excessive power. To me, it was almost like a 4th of July parade. I think it was a good kickoff for the next year, because I think this is a really important moment, guys. We've got once in our lifetime that we're going to have this big of a focus on the anniversary and history of the American experiment. 250 years. This is a big deal. I remember thinking right around the election, please don't let Kamala Harris be the leader of this effort, because it's just going to be one big guilt trip about America's racist roots and all that stuff. Now we have the chance to remind especially younger generations of how great America is and the principles that make it great, and the people and the institutions like the U.S. Army that have made America great. We watched a good portion of it as a family, got a chance to talk about the Army and reflect on history. We're kicking it off now. We've got a whole year to do this as we get towards the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, which will be next year. So, could it have been a little bit more entertaining? Yeah. We've got other parades coming up. Perhaps they'll turn up the dial to 11 a little bit, but I'm just glad to kick it off. I thought it was a lot of fun. I'd like to see this regularly.
Yeah,
but give us a phone call, 303-696-1971.
Yeah, I don't think they figured out what a parade is. I don't know. I mean, there were times in which I was watching part of this going, did you guys game plan this at all? Did you talk about the purpose of the parade? Anybody ask this rather than just are going to make it? Because again, to me, it looked like Russians' victory day. And I went back to the idea of the birthday party, and it was a birthday party parade for our military. But when we throw our country a birthday party parade on the 4th of July, that parade looks much, much, much different. Much different. There was a celebratory angle behind the 4th of July parades that wasn't there inside of that military parade. What they did, in my opinion, and tell me how I'm wrong, 303-696-1971, the Trump administration found a way to throw a parade without any of the joy or fun associated with the parade. That's hard to do.
Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. Obviously, Bill and I disagree on this
Yes,
one.
I do.
You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill. We talked no kings. We're talking the Army parade that took place on Saturday. Interesting text message. This is one from 6633. My father was a Bronze Star recipient, combat veteran. He would have been mortified at using the military this way. I don't understand why.
I think it's because
250th anniversary.
Yeah.
Trump has turned around recruitment efforts. You now have the Army meeting its recruitment goals. He's made serving in the military very patriotic, cool, fun. People are coming back ready to do it. I don't. What way are you talking about? It was a celebration of the birthday. So just no celebration, quiet celebration of the 250th
I believe
birthday?
I'm reading into it. I believe it's because of the critique that I had that this looked a heck of a lot more like the Victory Day parade in Russia than it did like the 4th of July parades here in America. One is a birthday celebration.
So because Russia does it, we don't like it?
No, it has to do with the optics. Is that the Russian parade for Victory Day is a celebration of our strength and our military power, and you should be afraid of us. Where the 4th of July parade is a celebration of America and our birthday. And that's the issue, is they come across very, very differently.
But why wouldn't you want to celebrate our strength and power?
Why wouldn't you want to celebrate our birthday? And that's what it was. It was a birthday parade.
But you've made the distinction between the two. I don't. Yeah. I saw it as a fine birthday, and I think it's great that we celebrate our power and might. Again, I don't see any problem with that.
You can do, but again, that wasn't a birthday celebration. If you came in and someone's party was like that, you'd go, this party sucks. I mean, there wasn't any sort of that.
Someone's party had helicopters and tanks. I would not say it sucks. I think
helicopters and
awesome.
Helicopters and tanks happened at a victory parade. Again, where
I don't see the problem.
Yeah, I know, but do you think about the crowds? Think about how the parade is presented. Think about what happens during parades for celebrations. Think about the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. That's more of a celebratory. Think even when you go down to the idea of when you win the championship parades. There's a different atmosphere than the atmosphere that was there. The atmosphere that was there in Washington, D.C. was closer to the Victory Day parades in Russia than it was to a 4th of July parade or a championship parade celebration in and around America, just based on the crowd, based on the activity, based on how it was presented, and especially based on what was in the parade. They messed it up because they ran this thing like a Victory Day parade, not like the 4th of July birthday parade.
I know you keep going back to Victory Day parade, but again, I don't see the problem. Show off our strength. Let our helicopters fly by, the tanks. It's so cool. Enrollment's up. Donald Trump's tapped back in to the energy and excitement of be all you can be. I think it's great. And you get this kind of like, well, we don't spike the football type of thing. No, we do. We absolutely do, especially after the wars. But, I mean, to me, it just comes across as anti-Trump. If Biden had done this, the same critique from the left wouldn't have been there.
Oh, no, I would have critiqued this on that side. And I'm not on the left either because I'm not in the middle. I'm just unaffiliated. I'm off on my own island that nobody else is normally allowed
on. Everything I've heard so far just smacks of kind of anti-Trump. Well, because he did it. I don't like it.
No, it's because for me, it's the execution. And again, I didn't poo-poo it a lot beforehand. I was skeptical of it, but I didn't sit here and I wasn't like a lot of people on the left going, oh my God, he's doing that. No, I held back and said, let's see what happens. But you know what he didn't have? And this is the mistake. This is the core. He didn't do it like the 4th of July parade. You know what he didn't have? He didn't have the high school marching bands. You know what he didn't have? He didn't have the Shriners and their silly little cars. You know, he didn't have the equestrians.
This was an Army celebration. Why would you bring out a high school band for an Army's birthday?
I know, but here's
the
idea.
You had the Army band there.
But again, it's for a 4th of July birthday, which is America's birthday. We bring things in there, and you could have had high school bands playing salutes to the military, playing all sorts of things. But again, that's a celebration of parade versus the Victory Day parade, which is just march the soldiers and the equipment by us. That's the optics.
It's awesome and it's powerful. And it
Vladimir
reminds
Putin
all
agrees
those
with
other
you. He loves those. And he'll do another one next year.
That we are the ones that run the show. You're listening to Jeff and Bill.
KNUS.